Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'll be showing you how I airbrush weather a locomotive. This is a locomotive I will be weathering, a Class 42 warship. There are certainly other ways you can weather locomotives and rolling stock, but this is my way that I like to do it. Okay, so this is what you'll need to weather your Loco. You'll need your Loco obviously, you'll need some masking tape, which is where you mask up the windows, as you can see here. And I've masked up the head coat as well on this, so it's not so weathered. You'll need your paint obviously, which I've chosen Humbrol enamel in this case, number matte 33 and matte leather 62, which I'll mix and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And then we've got some enamel thinners which you'll need to go through an airbrush. You'll need thinners all the time unless you have a pre-thinned paint. You'll need a mixing jar or a cup or something to mix your paint in, unless you've got a siphon airbrush like this. This is a single action and I prefer using double action airbrush because it gives you more control. With a single action you can mix it in the colour cup here and then plug it into your airbrush, but it's probably not a great idea to do it with a gravity fed airbrush like this Rich pen, because you could like stuff up the needle and that's bad news if you do. You'll need a mask if you're inside, which I am, and obviously you'll need your airbrush to airbrush weather the Loco. You can use weathering powders, but you have to give that a coat of primer or paint or matte varnish anyway for the powders to stick, unless it's a very matte Loco. This is sort of a matte slash satin coating on the Loco already. You'll need your compressor, which this is a Wada Studio series, the Smart Jet Pro, and you'll need your air hose. Before I start, there are two other things that are very important when weathering. When weathering a Loco, especially with an airbrush, it's very important, almost compulsory, that you have a turntable. This is just a old cake stand which turns around, so you can spray the Loco without having to touch it and get all your grubby fingers all over the Loco. When you're weathering wagons and rolling stock, like you'll see in another video that I've done weathering a wagon, watch that first before you watch this one because it's a little bit less complex. With that one I don't use the turntable, I just pick it up with my hands and use it, but that's just a fairly quick and easy job. With a Loco you've got to be really careful because it is actually something that moves by itself rather than being towed. Another useful thing is to have a book or a photograph of what you want to weather. So this is a really good photograph of the kind of outcome I want to have with this weathering. It's not exactly the same Loco, but it's the same livery and the same kind of Loco. So I want to get to sort of that effect, and it's really good just to look back every now and then to see that you're getting it how you want it. Okay, so I'll just get ready mixing the paint up and everything. I won't show you mixing the paint because you've got to get it the colour that you want it, and that takes time. You might get the colour you want first time, but you got to get the right amount of thinners and everything, and that might take a while. So I'll mix up the paint, get it in the airbrush, and then we can start. Now there'll be those people at the moment saying, why don't you brush paint your wheels? Well, the reason for that is, why would you want to brush paint them on a warship? You're just going to see it. And with brush painting, you tend to give the wheels two coats and it makes the colour look a lot stronger on the wheels and it just looks all wrong. So airbrush the wheels. You're not going to get any on the contacts because the wheels are covering them. So here we go. Also, when you're airbrushing, you want to put the Loco in the middle, not too close to you, because otherwise you turn it around the other side and it's heaps far away from you. You can pick it up, like tilt it when it's not painted there. The bumpers are always a good place to do that. So at the moment I'm just doing the bogies. fuel tank. Do a slight bit of the lower body. Do the ends. I've got a little bit too much on the ends, so I'm just going to get another brush out, sort of make a bit of a streaky effect. Put it in thinners, wipe the thinners off, and it gives you a nice streaky effect when you wipe it on. So it just looks like it's an effort made to clean it. To clean the end out. And it is a safety measure as well, the full yellow end. So they've got to clean it. I've masked up the head coat as well. So give it a bit of streakiness, because it would have happened in real life. I've actually got a picture of this actual diesel in that book that looks a bit like this. So you're not ruining it. If you get a bit of extra on, just do this. Just streak it a bit. Because I've masked up the head coat, I'm not going to get any whatsoever on the head coat and ruin it. So just making it look streaky. Brush marks don't matter really. So as you can see, that's the streakiness right there. Okay, now I'll do the other side. Same kind of thing. Okay, so now the body sides are done, I'm going to do the roof and the grills on top. I'm going to do this a little bit heavier, but it's no problem because I've got the windows masked up, so I'm not going to get any there. Doing it a little bit heavier around the fans and the exhaust as well. Okay, so I want to do the grills now, but I don't want to get any, well, much around the grills. So I'm going to create a little mask just for the grills. And that I'll just do with a Stanley knife or a craft knife, so I can go a little bit heavier around the grills. Okay, I've cut out the masks for the grills. So that's one. And that's another one. That's just a bit of card cut up. with the mask, so I can do that now. Do it nice and thick. Again, a bit of overspray will occur, but at least it's not all everywhere. Unless you really want to, you don't have to take the body off for this, because it's not going to make any difference to how it runs. So I'll do the other mask now. And I'm out of paint for the Okay, so here's the finished product. Just turn the compressor off so it's not so noisy. So I reckon it looked pretty effective. You may have not seen the streaks very well, but there they are. Just wait for the camera to focus so you can see the grills are done quite a bit thicker there. And it just darkens the model down a whole lot. Makes it look more realistic. Remember, it's only 2 colours. A bit thicker around the exhaust. Got to wait for them to dry, and the fans. But I reckon it's pretty close to the photo. I didn't really do the side grills much because I couldn't see that they were that dirty. So as you can see, they're pretty clean. Coupling's done as well. Fortunately I couldn't get it changed to KDs because Bachmann stupidly, the only thing wrong with this model is they fitted this weird screw coupling, and you can get it off fine by just unclipping the bogies, but you can't get a KD on properly because it just won't fit in the space. So yeah, what will probably happen now is the numbers may be darkened down a little bit, but not much. I've just got to wait for it to dry completely and then varnish it. Okay, so here she is on the layout. As you can see, the cab lights are working and the directional lights as well, so contact's not an issue. She runs pretty well considering she's just been weathered and varnished. Speed 85 mph on the speed odometer, so definitely not slow. And yeah, I'll show you how she runs.